Live. You're about to talk some IT with Tony and Glenn. Here. Oh, we are alive. Yes, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. You know what to do. Say what? Shh. That's right. You need to go ahead and say shh. Because this is Angified Presents. And we are here tonight to talk some IT. Are you guys able to see the show? You should be able to. It is on youtube.com/Angified, twitch.tv/Angified, talkinshhh.com. Yes, Talkin Shhh IT on YouTube. You just go ahead, you click on a link, youtube.com live. Oh, it's a guy loop. I'm gonna loop me. Yay! Just because I want to talk some all over the place. Make sure you go ahead and change this to live chat so that way you can follow along. Yep. And you can go ahead and use closed captions if you want. Yes. Oh, I'm unavailable. Oh, well. Now that just means I gotta talk more IT. Okay. You know, let's take it away.
Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings,
and ourselves.
We stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds. Let in the love.
And listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this child. among us and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us soul. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a better place, a whole new world for our children's futures at stake. We'll find, you'll find, oh, you'll find the world. Just open up your hearts, and you will find the world. And you'll find this trying world, heroes among us and every boy and girl, a better place for our children's sake. Oh, and you'll find, oh, you'll find the world.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear in 82, how to write and compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and sys that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talking IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. talking shh, talking shh. We're talking shh, talking shh, talking shh, talking shh. IT. We're talking shh, talking shh, talking shh, talking shh. IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Oh, it's Thursday night again. Welcome, my friend.
You know what that means. It's got to be time. Talking some shh. IT. Today's the day. Now, I did hear something about VST plugins. I wonder.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like Guitar Night Part 3, but it's virtually.
Nice.
Tonight, we're going to look at ways to approach guitar if you're not necessarily a guitarist. And in the case of what I'm going to show, you don't even have to know music theory. You don't really have to understand the guitar techniques, because some of the plugins we're going to look at actually take care of that heavy lifting. It's good to be able to understand the theory, but it's not going to be a necessity.
Not a prerequisite.
Yeah, what I've put together tonight, as far as the demo, we're going to look at the plugins. There's 2 plugins in particular that we're going to be looking at. And the way that I assembled this, I utilized the Unison chord pack. And, thanks to that, even if you don't understand music theory, you kind of can't fail, because they put together the scales and the chords for you. So you can't pick a wrong chord because they don't let you.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of those things, is they can, you can absorb a lot of theory very quickly just from working with those tools.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like it, because for those who don't necessarily understand music theory, using it will help you to start understanding, which chords go with which chords in certain scales.
Yeah. And just hearing the way they sound together and starting from there, rather than starting from, oh, here's a scale, and then trying to make it into something that sounds nice. You're starting with something that sounds nice and then seeing the theory behind why it sounds nice.
Yep.
I like it.
Here, let me bring up this screen over here, and I'll show you what I've got loaded up. There we go. Okay, so I mentioned the Unison chord pack. That you can find over at unison.audio. This is a cost-efficient way to start getting progressions and understanding the scales. The chord pack comes with every scale out there. It has major and relative minors for each scale. Has common progressions, and then even some advanced progressions for those who really want to get experimental. So that's what I'm going to be using to do some of the building that we're going to be doing.
Yeah. I like looking at that as kind of a songwriting toolkit as well. Like you're saying, you can very easily just, throw down a progression, pick a couple of chords and say, oh, I like that for this section. I like that for this other section, change the feel a little bit. And all of a sudden you're off to the races.
Yep. And they do have a YouTube channel with lots of different demos for all their different packs. And I do suggest people go check out the website and go look under the free packs, because here is a great way to get started. They have all sorts of different loops and progressions that will get people going and get to start to understand some of that theory. I mean, look at their free offerings here. I mean, pages and pages of different genres and beats, loop progressions that are specific to those genres. It's a good way to get started. It costs nothing and will help people to get comfortable with MIDI and with theory.
Yeah. And with the process of using tools like these.
Yep. And then after you go get some of those, go to their YouTube at Unison Audio, and you'll find all sorts of demonstrations and tutorials. Hey, welcome, John.
Hey there, how are you?
Doing
How you doing?
good.
Hey there, good to see you.
Mm-hmm. Back on a Thursday.
Yep, and I do have a quick little advertisement that they put out there to explain what the Unison pack is, what's in it. Some of you might have already seen it on YouTube because if YouTube knows that you like music, this is an ad you will probably see over there. Let me switch over this share here. Going to take me a little getting used to here. We're not used to sharing over on Zoom. I've gotten spoiled by Restream. There we go. So this is just going to brief explanation on the Unison Chord Pack, which is something that I used to work with these plugins we're going to be looking at.
Even if you don't know chords at all, you don't know anything about music theory like me, this is perfect for you.
And this is super good for you, especially if you like struggle with making melodies, chords, stuff like that.
I've been messing around with it quite a lot, and like I'll give you an example. Like you gotta hear how good this sounds.
The Unison MIDI chord pack.
MIDI chord pack, and I was actually kind of blown away when I first opened it.
This has over 1,200 MIDI files that can help you make chord progressions.
It's essentially a chord pack with loads and loads and loads of chords.
Every chord is organized by triads, extended chords, borrowed and modal chords, and my favorite tab, progressions.
Oh, damn. Woo!
And it's literally like playing with Lego, playing with building blocks and building a chord progression that way.
And spend time exploring chords, exploring chord progressions, and not worrying about music theory. I can focus on the emotion and how the chord progression makes me feel, not the notes I'm using or how to play them.
Yeah, and you can still change the preset you're using. You're not stuck with what a certain loop maker has done with a certain sample.
Also, just in case you didn't know, if you click the link in the description, you can get this entire pack for 60% off.
Get this for 60% off, and it also comes with a few bonuses like some cool sewing presets and even a guide on how to use MIDI files and chords and all that good stuff.
You can get 60% off right now, which is actually a bargain for what you get.
Do check it out. As you can see, it's such a useful thing to have on your computer. MIDI chords from Unison. Link below. If you use that link, you get 60% off. Yes, 60% off. Very, very good. Very, very good. I like that a lot.
Don't mute the Tony.
Again, I'm going to have to get used to that too. For what that offers you, it's very cost-effective way to get music theory in a box, pretty much. Even for those who do know their theory, you know, I do know my progressions, I know my chords, but I still find this real useful for just like Lego building blocks of chords to work with some of these plugins, especially the ones we're going to be looking at.
Yeah. I always like that too. And again, it's, you know, it's great if you want to learn about the chord theory or the theory. It's great if you don't care about the theory and you just want to explore and see how things sound. You can go either way with it. You can use it as an educational tool, or you can just use it to explore the music without having to worry or be bogged down by the theory. So you can go either way.
And it actually helps me sometimes because I'm not as fluent in all scales. So, you know, they're not all created equally in C.
Yep, exactly. Especially on keyboard. That's where guitar, we just, you know, move up a fret, move down a fret, do the same thing, and you get the same, you know, you get the same relative result. Where on the keyboard, you've got all the white notes and black notes you have to worry about switching back and forth. So that can definitely be more challenging. Certain keys are much more challenging to play in than others, for sure.
Yeah, my claws are not all there.
Right.
And John, you're a guitarist, correct?
Yeah.
And have you dealt with keyboard?
Yeah. I kind of know more theory than then is healthy to know.
Then you're in good
But
company with Glenn.
it's nice to know it. And then I look back at the old stuff I've written, and I realize I used to play all by ear, and I say, how the heck did I do that back then? There's a benefit to both. Ultimately, I had a Zen guitar teacher who taught yoga and guitar. I worked with him in Brooklyn, New York, in the late 1970s, and he kind of moved on to a better place, like a lot of my friends. But really a brilliant guy. He was a Berkeley graduate and very into a Zen approach to guitar. He said, forget about the middle, this string, that string, that string play. But he said, ultimately, you learn all the theory, and after you learn all the theory, when you play, you forget it all.
Yeah.
And whatever comes through your soul, it will come out less obstructed, less as a matter of habit, and you'll have a better chance of playing what you're feeling. And that's so true. And it's, of course, a big glass of tequila usually helps you to remove a couple of the obstacles. No,
Exactly. To kill ya.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Sometimes it puts new obstacles in. But seriously, the whole point is, you don't just play what you know how to play. You play what you feel more, and you learn to forget about the technical. Ironically, if you know enough theory, you could forget the technical and just play by ear, and then explain it. Say, well, that made sense. That was like a harmonic minor scale going down and a natural minor going up. Gives you the leading tones, and you say that made sense. How did I know that?
Well, and if you're not
just a
afraid
dumb
to explore,
kid who didn't even know which end of the guitar the music comes out of.
If you're not afraid to explore, theory can help a lot as long as you don't get locked too much into it. If you're willing to explore, try different chords, especially with the modes and what you can do there. You can listen it out, feel it out, and sometimes that rigid rule of theory might not be what you're looking for in your progression.
And in some cases, you look at all of the myriad of substitution chords that jazz musicians use. Ultimately, they tell you could just take a suspended seventh chord and go to any other chord in the world after it. You could basically substitute anything for anything, and it's like a balance between where the melody is going, and just a new melody note could be so powerful in introducing a new key and a new chord, and it just feels right.
About that seventh from Glenn for years.
And then those odd tension tones, like if you could I play something?
Sure.
So if you're playing an A7, right, and you put in the flat 9. So you could do all these. Well, so you could just put in all these weird notes, and there's nothing that's wrong if it makes sense. So you could start here with an A chord and just go.
I think some of our audio is getting cut on the compression. Usually, when it comes to like the acoustic guitar through Zoom, you wanna utilize original sound. This machine that I have set up, that's how I'm getting the audio to like push through. Is
it's working. I'm hearing things really well, from your end. So
Yeah, it's when instruments, because Zoom tends to prioritize the voice,
it optimizes the voice.
and when the compression's on, it completely tries to kill everything that it thinks is room noise.
Well, I think
with
it's
the
quite
original with
good
the original
quality
sound,
artificial
that turns it
intelligence.
off.
When I play the guitar, it should be considered noise. That's smart. But I get it. No, that's good. It's amazing. You guys have come a long way technically. What was the music I was listening to up pre-program before you guys got up and running?
I was. Oh, you mean the intro songs? That's
Yeah.
Angified is our theme song with Ange, and then the intro we have. I just came up with that a couple weeks ago. Used a little AI to kind of come up with the idea, and
was I okay?
On it.
I gotta tell you that I was totally zoned out. I was outside rollerblading with my Spotify, and I just put on for grins. I found some reggae to listen to, and I was like watching you guys, and I was hearing reggae. I said, "What happened to this show? It's got a kind of it's cool, but and I was listening to the music and watching the video, and it was working." Then I realized my stupid this thing was still playing Spotify, and it overpowered the IMAX Bluetooth. I'm going to become a Bluetooth dentist and even an orthodontist. So for blue teeth only, and see if we could straighten this out.
There you go.
Well, let's take a look at these two plugins that we're going to be playing around with tonight, and I'll show you what I did with them after we get an introduction into them and what they can do. There we go. So the first one that I've got is coming from Ample Sound, and this is a whole bunch of different guitars, basses. They even have a slide guitar plug-in that I'm dying to play with and get some of that bluegrass kind of sound. But if you look over at amplesound.net, you'll see like all their different offerings. I really want to check out some of these China instruments that they have. And John, you're familiar with like Chinese instruments.
I had a Erhu player, China in 1983, and we became friends, and we did something for the Reuben H. Fleet Space Theater together for the background for one of their movies. And he was a pleasure to work with. But we used an Ensoniq to mimic Chinese acoustic instrument sounds. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was my third keyboard. 91, I got my first Ensoniq.
Yeah, it was pretty good for its time.
Oh, the SQ engine, I loved it. For that time, it was the best sounding. This was before samples like came into play.
Yeah.
But they have a ton of different instruments from China that they've just begun introducing. I definitely want to check those out when I get a chance. But it's the guitars that I was just fascinated with this week and playing around with. There's their lap steel. Their pictures aren't accurate because the lap steel is actually this one, not that one. But they also have banjo, ukulele, and then when it comes to their acoustic guitars, those are some of the ones that I'm going to be showing in the demo. 5 or 6 different acoustic guitars, killer 12-string. On their bass side, they got a jazz bass, a P bass, a yin yang. Have you ever heard of that, Glenn?
Well, I heard of yin yang, and it sounds interesting.
That would probably be the Victor Wooten bass.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's what he jams with?
He definitely has one that looks just like that for sure.
Which one is that? Which one are we looking at?
Bottom left.
Bottom left. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is
over
unique.
here.
You'd see Victor
That
Wooten playing that in some of his, whether it was the masterclass or one of the other videos, but I've definitely seen him play that.
I
That
like
is
how
very
they
interesting.
put the yin yang into the design too.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
Yep. And they also have two acoustic basses, an upright and just a traditional acoustic one. Sounds fantastic. The upright especially, very natural, all the nuances that you would expect from an upright bass.
Nice.
And their guitars is where they really are shining. They've got Strat, they got Telly, they got a couple of Gibsons, and then they have their metal series where it really gets fun. Didn't get a chance to really play with those as much. I kind of was trying to focus on the cleaner tones and the acoustics, but a metal night will be coming when I get to play with those.
Oh yeah, and you can definitely go down a rabbit hole with any of these for sure.
Yeah, and they do have their products nice and organized, all their different categories that they have, and what I've got here, their YouTube channels at Ample Sound 9446. You will find examples of all their products. People have put together, tons of examples of what these plugins can do, and anybody who's interested in them, the best approach when it comes to price, they have these bundles where they cut the cost sometimes 50-75%. When you go for the big package, it really becomes cost efficient, and you get the sounds of all these different guitars. But what we're gonna look at here is they've got some demo videos of how the product works, and they show both from the electric side, the bass side, and then we're going to take a quick look at Hi-Fi MIDI, who explains this major update they just came out with. They redesigned the interface. They've added these new features, like there's a strummer, there's a riffer, depending on what you're looking for from your guitar. These will give you different ways of sequencing and laying things out. Plus, it has a built-in tab reader. So anybody who's comfortable with tab can go get their favorite tab from Guitar Pro and bring it right in. It'll show it in tab. It'll show it in sheet music. It's an awesome learning tool for anybody who's like trying to learn guitar and likes to do it visually.
Nice.
So let's take a look at the first video from them. This explains the riffer, which is a core part of it. For those who are comfortable punching in, I mean, you're basically looking at a guitar and dropping notes right on the neck, just like you would as a guitarist. You just get to do it visually.
I like it.
Switch over to that. And you notice they had the circle of fifths with a randomized riffer. Something that could be very fun to play with.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Have you played around with I played around with Ace. Do you know Ace?
No, not familiar with that one.
They're a vocal AI vocal, so you could use you could sing into it and it'll produce vocal voices with the same melody, or you can put notes in manually. And I've used it to do background harmonies, and it's it's a little doesn't have the kick that real people have. But you could do some really fun things with it. Very interesting.
I definitely would like to have a vocal night.
Well, it's
these
you
toys as
could
well.
actually try to mess with a as an experiment. I took a jingle I was trying to write for a company, and I did the entire thing with AI vocals. And it came out okay. It's not strong enough to be very convincing, but it's and sometimes when it's not strong enough to be convincing, you really can't feel it, but it really works well for backgrounds. And you could actually work from text to vocal, and it has like you could check it out. It's Ace Studios, and I played with it for a couple of months, and it's definitely very intuitive. It works with a user interface similar to the one you're looking at, except it's not a guitar neck. It just works through. You should try it. It's called ACE Studio, and you would, it's another China-based company, and of course they have different languages: Chinese, English, and they have different vocals. You could actually train it to do your own vocal. So you could train it to be an AI version of your own vocal, and then you could tune your notes.
Now that's what I'd like to explore more. The voice modeling with AI nowadays definitely is getting better and better. I mean, we've been looking at it for the past couple of years, and each year the AI voices just get more and more impressive.
I've tried a couple of them, and Ace is pretty much one of the best ones I've tried. So you might want to check it out.
I'll look at that after we get done with this for a vocal night.
Yeah, that'll be fun for you, I'm sure. So anyway, I just wanted to come and see what you guys were up to and give you a hello, and so you keep me posted with your shows if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, every Thursday we're doing this.
How do you choose your subjects?
Sometimes it's from user requests, and other times it's what I happen to be in the mood for. This virtual guitar thing, I've had a couple of projects the last couple of months that I've been wanting to get better at guitar over on the keyboard side, and can only go so far with the samples. So like these plugins are bringing some of that guitar nuance to the keyboardist.
Yeah, that sounds like a good tool. I've always been impressed with some keyboard players who really could do like string stretches and stuff like that so effectively and with so much passion, and it's like really impressive. Of course, it doesn't totally sound like a guitar, but in some cases, my favorite thing.
When you see this other plugin that we're going to be looking at, the demo that this guy does, man, I swear he sounds like he's on a real guitar, and he does all the pitch bending and
I believe you totally. Is he on a keyboard when he does it?
Yeah, well, yeah, he's going to show the next plugin that we're going to be looking at, and he actually shows it in action, and it's incredible to watch him. But before we do that, with the ample, we don't want to forget about the bassists, because it's just
Yeah,
important.
I'd like to hear the acoustic bass you were mentioning.
This one is the ample bass demonstration. Here we go. So it works a lot like the guitar products do, looks a lot the same. The one difference is there isn't a strummer with the bass. The bass plugins are more,
Single
with
note.
bass, yeah, you don't tend to deal with chords with the bass as much. So the riffer is more than enough to do what you need to with the bass. But it has the same unified interface, same approach, follows the circle of fifths. Glenn approved.
I do.
And,
It is
and there
approved.
was a very yin-yang looking bass guitar in the graphic.
Yeah, I'll show Tony some videos of Victor Wooten using that later.
I love watching Wooten in action.
Oh yeah, he does the 4-string yin yang.
So
they had a 5-string metal bass in there too. I saw.
Yeah. There's actually 2 metal products that they have there that are bass centric, and this third video from them, this one actually comes from Hi-Fi MIDI. I'll show you that channel in a second. But he talks about the major updates that they just came out with in the last year, which really are big upgrades to their products.
Hey friends, it's Ruben with Hi-Fi MIDI. Apple Sound has released a major update to 14 virtual guitar plugins, version 3.7. If you own any of their acoustic, electric, or metal series guitars, I highly recommend going to their website after this video, logging into your account, and downloading and installing this update, which is completely free. So what's new in this update? Riffer is now 100% compatible with standard MIDI. This means that what you program and hear in Riffer is exactly what you'll hear after you drag the MIDI into your DAW. Well, shouldn't it already do that? Ideally, yes, but Riffer is currently the most powerful guitar MIDI editing program on the market, using what amounts to 6 individual MIDI channels for playback. Converting that to one MIDI channel in your DAW has been a daunting technical challenge that Ample Sound has recently overcome, and the results are glorious. So what does that mean? You can now slide multiple notes at the same time and land on different intervals. Before, the results would cause the notes to slide in parallel. For example, I'm going to slide these two notes down to these ones. They're going to slide in parallel motion. So they start on the same place and end on the same place. If I drag this into my DAW, it's going to play back the same. Easy. However, in the previous engine, if one of these notes went a little further, it would play back within Riffer. Now, when I drag it into my DAW, it's going to play back the same way. This is a wonderful thing. Sometimes your harmony might be a major third sliding to a minor third, and in this case, now you can do it with the slide without having any issues. You can also slide different notes at different times. This might be unrealistic in real life, but the fact that you can do it is a great thing. No other guitar VI I've ever used can do this. Strum playback has also been improved. Now you can edit the velocity of individual notes within a chord within Riffer rather than doing it in your DAW. This is great because editing note velocity in a strum makes it sound more expressive and realistic. And now you can save those strum patterns within your plugin for later use. When converting a sequence to Riffer, rather than replacing whatever is in Riffer when you convert, it will be added to the next measure in Riffer. This is such a great way to start building songs. So here I'm going to start in A minor, and I'm going to use sequence number 1. Converting current pattern to riff will convert this sequence into a riff that I can edit. Now notice that it didn't fill in measure number 1, but instead it filled in measure number 2. This might seem a little odd at first, but many times when I create a strum, the initial strum is a little slower. So what I could do instead is to make this a slow strum and drag it back just a little bit. That way it's longer. Whereas if it started on measure 1, I can't really drag it back. If I wanted another chord with the same strum sequence after this, I just go back, choose my next chord, and then convert once more. And it's going to add it to the next measure. In previous versions, it would just replace whatever was in Riffer. So this is a great upgrade. The legato system has been improved overall, not just in Riffer. If you're a keyboardist, you'll notice how intuitive and responsive the playback is when you use your key switches to trigger legato slide or hammer-on pull-off. You can apply it to multiple strings and intervals too. It just works really well. The new engine allows for scalable UI. At the moment, you can set scaling by intervals of 25, from 100% all the way to 200%. And you'll see those changes only when you close the plugin window and reopen it. In the future, I would love to be able to just drag it and see it change size instantly, but this is a good start. These are major updates that improve the workflow and realism of the instrument. Once again, it's free of charge for current owners of Ample Sound guitars. Additional updates are a host of new presets and various bug fixes, and I'll leave a link in the description to KVR Audio where you can see a list of all these changes. Hey, if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to stay up to date with my latest videos. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, leave a comment below telling me what you thought of the video. And if you haven't done so, visit hifimidi.com if you want to go more in depth with the software or learn MIDI programming. Your purchase helps support this channel and makes it possible for me to produce new videos. Thanks for watching.
I will be visiting that channel.
Yeah.
Here, let me
Very cool.
show you. That's a special thanks to Hi-Fi MIDI over at Hi-Fi MIDI on YouTube. And not kidding, like he covers all their products along with a whole bunch of other ones. I mean, this is another one of those channels where the reviews are fantastic.
Yeah. Well, just even seeing, the going through the demonstrations on that he just went through with the legato slides and the multiple note slides and all of that, going, running it through its paces really, and really kind of showing off some of the better features there. I like that.
Yeah. Well, he teased. I haven't had a chance to play with a lot of those features yet, but he's teasing me right into them.
Exactly. And it looks like they've given a lot of thought and taken some feedback and, improved on things from before, however they were before, to make them so that they would, be more intuitive and a better interface experience.
Yeah, and the scalable interface that he's talking about, that's one of the big annoyances with a lot of plugins, especially on the Windows side. They don't scale, so you get these small little windows, and everything is tiny. The text is tiny. It's difficult because of the VST system to actually make scalable windows. So, as he said, this is at least a magnification improvement for those who, like me, are going blind. But it would be nice, hopefully, as VST interfaces improve, to start seeing more scalable windows.
And even just by making the interfaces more streamlined, I guess, by having fewer controls or by having the controls more intuitive in how they work. And I'm not saying that, more than they are. I'm saying just in general, rather than having, 50 buttons inside of a thing, you have, 4 buttons that you can change the, configurations of. That's that kind of thing that makes it easier to see even on a smaller scale.
Yeah, and how they categorize, if you do need 50 buttons, how you break them up into groups.
Right, exactly.
Can sometimes be the right approach.
And even page 1, page 2, that kind of thing.
Yep. So thank you at Hi-Fi MIDI. And if you're interested in this plugin, you're going to want to check out amplesound.net and at amplesound9446 over on YouTube. Now, our second plugin that we're going to be comparing this to, and you're going to see why I chose these two. They have different approaches to accomplishing the same thing. And this one I really like for different reasons than the Ample solutions. The Ample solutions are more fun dynamically. Like if I'm experimenting with different chords, I can do it right in the plugin. It's a lot easier to actually like play around with, chord progressions and directions with the Ample solutions. But you do have to know a little bit about which chords to go to, because they kind of throw everything at you. So you've got to figure out like whether you need an F major or an F minor if you're in C major.
Right.
Whereas what I like about Strum, this one integrates a lot better with my MIDI tracks and with the Unison chord pack. So the demo I'm going to show you that I put together, I actually took a different approach to building the same chords with Strum than I did with the Ample products. I utilized the Unison chord pack with Strum because Strum works fantastic with it. The chords, and if you want to invert the chords and use different chord shapes, it's a lot easier in this one.
Nice.
And this plugin comes from applied-acoustics.com. They've also got some other products that are interesting. They've got a string player that I definitely want to check out because I love the strings. But with these guitars, trying to find natural playing, natural muting, the slides, the hammer-ons, these two products that we're looking at really bring that to the keyboardist table.
Nice.
And I've got a couple of videos here that will show both their acoustic and electric, which are both built into the same plugin. So the nice thing with Strum is you get both the acoustic and the electric options in one plugin. And what I really like about this one is when it comes to strumming techniques, there's massive libraries built in out of the box, plus tons of user-supported ones that have been added that give you all sorts of different strumming approaches, whether you want to be funky, whether you want to be country, bluegrass. It's all about changing your strum presets, and the same chords can sound like a totally different song when you do it.
Nice.
So these are going to be coming from at AAF Physical Modeling. And another thing I would mention with this one, this plugin's very small compared to the Ample solution, where you've got a lot of samples. Like the Ample solution is all about like great guitar samples, big libraries, 5 to 7 gigs per guitar and bass. With Strum, it's acoustic modeling, and it's very efficient, tiny, and sounds incredible. The built-in instruments that they have sound very real, and the fact that they do it with such a small size, it makes the engine very efficient. If you're actually playing live and you're triggering it, it's instantaneous. I feel like I'm actually playing a guitar that's responding on the keyboard.
Right. Nice.
So we've got 2 videos here. One's going to show the acoustic side, which is what first got me like into this one. I really want some good acoustic accompaniment. And then the second one is going to show the electric side. And this is what I mentioned earlier. Watching him demonstrate how this plugin works, you're going to be blown away that what you're hearing is from a keyboardist, because when you hear the techniques he's doing, you would think you're hearing a guitarist with like a whammy and pinching and pulling, and he knows his keyboard.
Nice. Yeah, it's just, they managed to duplicate those techniques as well.
You don't necessarily have to be a virtuoso to get this to sound natural. I mean, what he does is incredible, but just playing around with it, I felt like I was a guitarist.
Very cool. We will check it out.
Over to this.
So much life coming out of an acoustic guitar. A great tone and incredible amount of expression can truly inspire us all. Let me tell you about a virtual instrument that recreates the sound of acoustic guitars and lets you record guitar tracks with ease. Strum. Within Strum, there are 3 different play modes. The keyboard mode lets you freely play. Within guitar mode, you can even strum it. Let me show you how easy it is. On this octave, you can play the 6 different strings: upstroke, downstroke, mutes, and more. You can move around the frets by playing with the other hand. Strum recognizes the chords and voices them just like a real guitarist would. It's easy to create great sounding acoustic guitar tracks. Now, composers will love the loops mode. It allows you to pick loops from a variety of music genres. Different keys will play variations of the loops for parts of a track. It is great to put song ideas together very quickly. Strum brings to you a true guitar collection with more than 100 sounds. It is entirely based on physical modeling. No samples are involved. And that means no velocity layers. It reacts just like a real instrument does. Presets load incredibly fast and take very little space on your hard drive. Strum also offers built-in EQ, compression, effects, and even the ability to tweak each string. With Strum, you can even create sounds that go beyond an acoustic guitar. Check this out. With Strum, it has never been easier to create amazing sounding guitar tracks and a vast amount of different tones. Get Strum and bring the magic of guitar into your studio.
So that's the acoustic side of Strum. And tell me when you're seeing a keyboardist playing like that. I mean, that's like Jeff Beck, doing his guitar stuff, except he's doing it on the keyboard, which he's just as good at.
Yeah. And it does simplify things down. I mean, once you get all those techniques down, like as far as, it'll be kind of weird feeling, I'm thinking at first, to hold a chord with the left hand and then using the right hand on those top strings. And it's not that it always works in that way, but just getting used to how to do those individual strums like that, that looks like it'd be pretty cool. Like you're saying, it'd be fun to play with.
I like how they have that like split keyboard approach depending on what mode you're in, and being able to actually set like a strum, with one hand while you're doing the leads with the other. It's kind of like, using the chord approach with like the Casios, where you're setting up the chord with your left hand and you're soloing with your right one.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that, like it has a special octave where like you can get like the nuances, the mutes, and the little things that they're really hard to duplicate on the keyboard without something like this.
Yeah. And it looks like, again, it looks like it's, it takes all the complications out of the way. It's like once you figure out how it works, it's like, oh, it's just you hold this and you hit these and you're good. You don't have to go through a lot of complicated steps to make it work, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and can you believe that they're getting that kind of sound out of acoustic modeling? Like, these are not samples, which, that's the only way I've been able to get natural sounding acoustics is with like these big ass samples. And you get the slides and certain nuances, but you don't get the kind of feel that he was getting there, especially if you're comfortable with the pitch wheel.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where the nuance, those little, basically string wiggles, you might call it, where you're doing, some vibrato, getting those using the, like you said, using the mod wheel or what you're trying to do that just a little bit and just at the right times and at the right frequency. Because a lot of times it's the speed at which you're doing the modulation is what really matters, where it needs to be quite kind of fast, like, 4 times a second, like, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. But, a lot of times people, they'll hit it and it's kind of more like a wah, wah, wah. And that's not, not exactly what you're usually going for, but he had excellent technique on all that for sure.
Well, and I really like that they, incorporate good effects and good extras to just tweak up the sound. When he was showing like you can even make it sound like not like a guitar, and some of those examples, I was thinking like Andrew Hong like would like eat this plugin up with that kind of synthesis.
Sure. And that would sound like you had some clav going there for a little bit in one of those examples.
Yeah. The way he claved it up and then, got all funky, and I'm thinking like Chick Corea.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's like a fun one.
It definitely is inspiring to watch him do that. It makes me just like, I want to do that.
Exactly. And nothing's stopping you.
Nope, not at this point. Well, we've got the electric side to take a look at, because you don't want to forget the electric guitar, and Strum does have some impressive electric guitars. And the cool thing is even if it's not the electric guitar that you necessarily, the sound that you want, it's real easy to just add a tone, an amp processor to the Strum instrument, and boom, now that guitar does sound like you want it to. And because it's so low resource, again, the feel and the response is instant.
Yeah. Like you said, real time. Getting it right where you want.
Yeah, I like efficient plugins. That's a big plus they get for doing it the way that they did it.
For sure.
The sound of electric guitar has been the backbone for popular music since the 50s. In jazz, blues, rock and pop, we all have our favorite guitar songs. Let me introduce you to a virtual instrument that lets you easily add the power and magic of electric guitar to your productions. Strum. Strum has acoustic and electric guitar sounds and allows you to use your keyboard to freely play, to strum it just like a real guitar, or to play loops. With over 100 electric guitar sounds, Strum adds an entire guitar rig with amps and effects, such as delay, wah-wah, distortion, and even spring reverb. Strum has tones for virtually every music style, so there's no need to figure out how to make guitar sounds. Strum does it for you. Strum relieves you from the stress and strain of managing huge sample libraries. In less than a minute, you're set up and ready to play guitar. With Strum's wide range of electric guitar sounds, it is easier than ever before to quickly find and record your guitar of choice. Get Strum and let your listeners feel the power and magic of electric guitar.
Damn, it almost does look like magic when you see it done that way.
Exactly. And you can learn a lot just by watching the video like that, seeing which spots he's using the bends and how much he's doing, like whether it's a whole bend, a whole step bend, or a half step bend, little
He's
bits.
such a monster with that pen, man.
That's where all the expressiveness comes from, for sure.
Oh, especially when he shifted into the blues there at the end. I was like, oh,
The slow bends, yeah.
Clapton in a keyboard.
Yep. No, very well done. And again, that's great way to walk through the paces of the of what the what that VST can do for you.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to show off like just how powerful it can be, and that's the plugin comes from AAS, Applied Acoustic Systems, applied-acoustics.com, and you can get a free trial of it. It's worth checking out and see if it's something that will serve your purposes. It's kind of hard to think that it wouldn't. I mean, for anybody who's looking for like that accompany guitarist and doesn't necessarily have one, or a guitarist who's not as cooperative, doesn't do what you sometimes want them to, it's nice to have these kinds of options to feel out your songs and play with them.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
if you want to see more examples, they got tons of examples over on at AAS Physical Modeling over on YouTube. You can see it in action all over the place, just like we saw there.
Yeah, awesome demonstration.
And I'm definitely going to be checking out their string machine, because if it's as good as this, then I'm there.
Yeah. And that would be another place, would be like the horns. It would be the other place where a lot of times those slides, like it's hard to do horns well on keys, like as far as the solo maneuvers, like those little slides he was doing on the guitar there. Getting that kind of expressiveness from horns out of keyboards can be difficult also. So I could see something like that working out well there.
Oh yeah. If I can find a plugin that does that for horns, what this does for guitar, we will have a horny night.
Nice. There we go. Or a windy night.
for like trombone, like something where like the slide action really would
defines the instrument. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now we get to have a little fun, see some of these in action with what I've been playing around with. And let's bring up our cakewalk here, and I'm going to pin the studio machine so we get a better look at it. And what I did is I threw in a whole bunch of the ample guitars, the acoustics and the electric, so we can hear how they sound, the differences between them. And with Strum, the nice thing is it's one plugin, and I got to like basically build a little progression. What I did is I used the Unison chord pack. I started in C major and went with the triads and jumped into the C major triads. And just to show you like the approach I took there, I'll make a blank MIDI track here. And basically I picked chords, and said I want to go from C, threw that in there. And then I went to G, then to F, back to C. So a nice 1-5-4-1 progression. And what I'm going to do with what I just dropped in there is I'm going to set it to Strum. And as I mentioned, I did this approach with the Unison chord pack for Strum because Strum works great with the chords. With the ample, I'll show you the approach I took thereafter. But this is just, a nice little 4-chord progression. And we're running into the Strum. Ooh, is the audio muted? Oh, I have to solo it along with it. That's why. So that's a nice, easy way to, just feel out some chords, see how they sound together. In the case of the Strum engine that I'm using at the moment, it's just the default acoustic, the Dreadnought. It's got a nice little kind of country feel to it. Now, if I wanted to use a different kind of Strum, this is where what I was saying about how powerful it is you can go down here to the pack under the banks, and these different Strum packs, I mean, there's so many choices. I ended up going with the Pop Pocket because I was working at 78 BPM, so that was a Strum that was actually convenient for the tempo that I was going at. But you can go to different Strums and you're going to get different results.
And it looks like you're also picking which chord claw, essentially, which chord shape you're choosing as far as which strings you're picking, what it's showing you on that chord stamp in the middle there.
Yeah, and you'll notice that you can adjust the chord shapes to what's the root and the inversion. You can adjust that along the way to whatever sounds the best to you. Which
because those variations can make a big difference in how a song sounds and making things not sound repetitive also.
Oh, absolutely. And the beauty here is it's not as complicated as trying to actually do it on the guitar, where like different inversions might not feel comfortable. but might actually sound better to your ears. Now, let's see what it sounds like with bluegrass.
And you can hear that characteristic root 5 bounce going right there. Whether you're going from the root to the 5 under or the root to the 5 above, you definitely hear that bounce cooking.
Yeah, and it really does change the feel of the chords. I mean, now I feel like I'm ready for a country song. It's such a great way to like kind of find the mood you're looking for. Once you know the progression that you're playing with, and you not sure what mood you want to go with, here's a shuffle. Oh, slow shuffle. But see, that's the beauty of it being in MIDI. Like, if that feels too slow, well, let's see what it sounds like at 120. Now I'm ready to ride a horse.
Now it turned into a hold my beer and watch this song.
Yeah. Someone stole my truck.
And I'm gonna get it back with my dog.
Yeah, and they have some arpeggiated strums too, which are really cool.
And you really could teach yourself a lot about guitar just by, again, throwing this on and, playing along to it, figuring out how do I arpeggiate a D chord like that, for example.
Yeah,
and you figure that out. You're learning how to play these different styles just by how you break up the chord with the same chord flaw.
And that's what a lot of guitarists who are utilizing this use it for, is to actually learn their guitar. It's not just for those who need a guitarist. In some cases, it's the guitarist who wants to learn the different approaches. And I love that it shows the tab and like makes it so easy to pick up.
Exactly. Very cool.
So we're gonna set this back to the pop. Pop pocket, just for the song example that I did, but that's how I built the Strummer MIDI track. The one MIDI track that I have in here, that this one right here, number 18. This is the one that goes to the Strummer for a song that I put together. And what I did is in this case, I used the Unison chord pack, threw down the chords that I wanted, and I actually set up 3 different sections, a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. And the nice thing with Cakewalk is, I can use the arranger. Once I've got the parts established, then I can just grab them and put them down here into the arranger, and now I've got 2 verses, a chorus, 2 verses, a chorus, a bridge, chorus, 2 verses. That's a nice, easy way to conceptualize a song, and did it before the show tonight. In about an hour and a half.
And it keeps it nice and concise, because on the screen there, you're looking at the whole thing, essentially. You're looking at, each of the Lego bricks. And then, over here is where we assemble the Lego bricks into the full structure of the song. Rather than having the whole thing written out to a 7 or 12-minute song or whatever it is, you're actually able to just look at, these are the 3 blocks, and this is how we arrange those blocks to make the full song.
Yeah, and what I like is like, say you got a singer who's like, I need one more verse, like the verse is too short. I need one more verse before we go into the chorus. Well, I can just take another verse and throw it right in there, and boom, like now the singer has another verse.
Yeah, exactly. Love it.
So I've always wanted to use the arranger more, because a lot of times when you're just trying to figure out the structure of the song, how much time do I need for the vocals and to go into the other parts, I like the arranger approach. It makes it a lot easier to figure out where the parts go and where the changes happen. And up till now, it's been tough for me to use the arranger, because a lot of the parts that I do, especially on the piano side, they don't loop properly, because sometimes I start right before the measure, and sometimes there's a hold after the measure, and it can be tricky to build your parts that way. But when you're dealing with a plugin like this, where you're playing straight chords and you're just kind of figuring out the part changes, it works awesome for things like this.
Yeah, very good for songwriting tool.
Yeah. So with the Ample plugins, here I'm going to bring up the Luthier Classic, and with this one, rather than using the unison chord pack, which I could have, but the one weird thing with the Ample plugins, the chords, when they're being pushed into here, not all of them work properly. I was having problems with the G major chord playing in C major when I was trying to push it in through the unison chord pack. But fortunately, with their strummer here, because they have different ways of inputting music. This is the riffer, where you actually put down all the notes and you kind of set it up like you would if you were playing it on the actual neck. The strummer is more chord approach, and once you set your key and you set which chords you want in your options here, you can basically switch around so that, like, if I hit play here, I'm starting on a C, go to a G, to an F. So what I like about this is it really makes me feel like I've got a guitarist sitting there and I'm like, give me a C, give me a G.
Yeah, well, even if you're watching,
F.
even if you're watching like where that chord stamp is in the middle there, when it's going through the play along on the right there and showing you whether it's playing low or high, it's showing you whether it's showing the low part of the chord, the middle part of the chord, the high part of the chord, and you'll see on the chord stamp how it's breaking the chord up. And that's also good information for people who are playing rhythm guitar to see how that strum is not, it's not just, going all up and down the whole chord the whole time. When you play it again, you'll see how it's just doing this little chunk of the chord, that little chunk, and whether it's the higher part of the chord or the lower part.
Well, and actually these little buttons that are hiding down to the left here, I wish I could blow the screen up.
Yeah, those are the ones I was talking about. Yeah.
Now that I know I can make it 200%, going to start doing that. But those little buttons basically are arrows pointing, this note's going up, this note's going up, this note's going down. This is where the guitar nuances and the whole up and down strumming really starts to kick ass.
It's both the up strum and which part of the chords you're playing. Like the lower one there is that's the low notes in the chord. So you'll see that that's starting at the bottom of the chord. Whereas, if you're at the higher part there and you're doing an upstroke, you're getting just those top little notes. But you'll see it when you hit the play, you'll see it on the chord stamp to your left there where it shows that full bar chord claw. It'll show you the little pieces that it's playing. Yeah, it'll show you the little pieces it's playing as it's going through.
Yeah, and again, if you're a guitarist and you're seeing that, you're actually learning what to play on the guitar.
Exactly.
And I could have assembled the entire song The nice thing with the ample ones, I mean, it's got its own built-in sequencer, so I don't necessarily need to put this over into a MIDI track in order to build the song here, because with these 8 sequence slots, you know, I can set up one chord progression, and then for the second one, I can set up different chord progression all the way through, and then arrange them that way. But
very intuitive the way they have it set up.
I'm more of a traditionalist, so I like the fact that, like, once you establish what you do want here, like I basically did the same thing I did with the unison chord pack. I started with a C, and this little button down here lets you drag to host. So if I had a MIDI track here, make a new MIDI track, and I want that C to be on that MIDI track, I just drag it down and boom, there's my C. I want that G, I drag it down there, and there's my G. But I do like that, like, you know, I can feel out the chords and how they sound with each other just straight in the interface. This is where the Ample plugins are a little more intuitive when it comes to, like, which chords do I want to use? Like, when I was playing around with it, you know, I was like trying to feel out, like, which chords do I want to go to? You know, and you can just keep changing chords till you find the chord you're looking for.
One thing I will say about that is you picked good choices there as far as the C chord and the G chord. Those two in their root configuration are basically going root 3/5 on the bottom 3 notes. The lowest 3 notes are going root 3/5, so it sounds the most natural on the guitar. And so you'll see a lot of people using that C shape and the G shape for that, because then those bottom 3 notes, if you just bounce those bottom 3 notes, you're going root 3/5, root 3/5, and it's, you know, it makes sense. Whereas a lot of times for that E shape chord or the A shape chord, the first 3 notes are root 5 root. So you're not even getting a third involved until you're getting all the way up into the higher notes on the neck. So that's just one quick note there about the C and the G shapes that are helpful.
And I did that on purpose. Now,
exactly.
The other thing with the Ample plugins that really excites me, because you know, sometimes when I'm looking for MIDI and I can't necessarily find a song where there's good MIDI, but I do find good tablature, and they do have a built-in tab editor that lets you import Guitar Pro files, Guitar Pro 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you can take the tab, import it in, and it will show you the tab for all the different parts. And you can see them in notation, you can see them in tablature. For those trying to learn a song, that's a powerful feature.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, the Riffer, you know, is another way of, like, punching in for those who like to, you know, like, do step sequencing and pop it in. This is much more like visually friendly to me than using the traditional step sequencer that I would have in Cakewalk or in most DAWs. You know, it's hard to visualize, like, how the note holds and the dynamics of it when you're doing it in those little squares that, you know, depending on your timing signature, you want that note to hold, and you end up having to fill 4 squares just to get it to hold. Here, you really see, like, the length of the note in a natural way on what is essentially tab.
Yeah, and even the you know, when you want to, say, stagger a chord, like if you're going to play a chord rather than having it as one big block where it all happens at the same time, you can kind of shift it where, you know, it looks like a staircase where now they're, you know, starting from the bottom, it's working its way up. You know, you can, it's you know, a slower strum, for example. It's easier to visualize
more natural when you're playing that way. Yeah.
Yep.
And you notice there's the strings are here, and then at the bottom they've got the effects and string channel. So when you're looking for those little nuances and things, you can even control that because there's a slide right there.
Nice.
So
it's good to have that as a separate track also, so that it doesn't get jumbled in with everything else.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier to actually focus in on those nuances and where you want them.
Very cool.
But the strummer, like, just that alone is worth the price of admission for me. Like, this is what I was looking for, was just a nice, easy way to try out chord progressions and just kind of, like, build the basic blocks of a song, so that way I can take what I get from here and start to, like, refine it. And you get all the options that you need as far as converting them into, you can convert what you do here into a riff for there. You can export it out, export it to MIDI for another sequencer. All the options you would need. And whether you lock to your DAW, because like right now I set my tempo in Cakewalk, which I prefer to do it that way because I know I'm going to be moving these parts into Cakewalk. But, you know, if you want to try things out and you don't want to be locked to the DAW, then you can just turn it off and set your tempo to whatever you want, feel it out, and if you need to change it in your DAW afterwards, you do that.
Yeah, we've talked before about how changing tempo in the middle of a project can cause issues depending on what you got going on in the project, how complicated it is, and what all the sources are.
Yeah.
Things get weird.
And each one of these amps, I'm gonna go through. I've got their acoustics and their electrics set up in here. I mean, we've got, you know, a Luthier Classic, a Martin D41, a Gibson SJ200, Taylor 956, Taylor 714 for the acoustics. For the electrics, we got a Fender Strat 50th anniversary, Gibson Les Paul, the 58, a Fender Tele, the John English version, PRS Custom, Gibson ES335, and a Gibson SC Vintage 64. And each one of these not only comes with the default sound, like in this case, this is the default luthier, but they come with matter of fact, here, let's look. These are all variations with different effects adjusted to sound like everything. Oh, Tears in Heaven. Let's see what that one sounds like.
Nice.
Now you notice some of these are set for rhythm and some are set for leads. So this one's basically turning the chord into a lead. Oh, you can hear some of the stereo dynamics too. So you really do get a nice variety off of the default guitar. And for the electric ones, that can make a big difference because some of them, like I think this is the Angus Young. This guitar has tons of AC/DC sounds to it. Although for this one, I have it set to the Children of the Sea patch. It's a nice, clean version of it. But if I wanted to go like Hell's Bells, Or
Nice.
a little Black Sabbath. Crazy Train. And you really hear how the electrics, like the distortion, how it holds, it feels like an actual electric would.
Yeah, you get a lot of sustain. Takes a while to decay after that.
Yeah. See, that's something I'm gonna need to play with, depending on what I'm trying to do with it. The electrics are definitely little more finicky than the acoustics on this one. Yeah, let's get back to
Yeah, I could see that.
that one. So to go back to the acoustics here, this is the Martin. You know, and it's got that little more steel ring to it. Some of these later ones, the Taylors have like this great, like you can almost hear the like pick. Now that's ready for country.
I was gonna say that's some fast picking.
Yeah, I think.
The 12.
This is the 12 string, yeah. And you hear how it gets that nice little pick rhythm to it that I could never pull that off with, like, you know, just the traditional samplers, and even with a good sample of a guitar like this, getting that kind of nuance, really hard to do.
For sure.
Yeah, and this Taylor has the same nuance, just with 6 strings. But a nice ring to it.
And great variations too. Just again, being able to, you know, pull those out of a hat at any time, you know, with different variations and have them all, you know, sound like they were being played on a real guitar. It's awesome.
Yeah. And when you want to adjust the kind of strum that you have here, you know, playing with the swing and some of their options here will adjust the way that it attacks. So,
and even like you said, just the style presets are a great, you know, starting point, and then being able to adjust further is great.
Yeah, couldn't ignore the Stratocaster, one of my favorite guitars of all time. And this one really does have some interesting, different presets. Because, you know, Strat's been around for a long time. Oh, it went out of tune. Now, that's another thing I noticed, which I don't know if it's a bug or just the fact that when you change the presets, if you do go from one that's set to be a lead or for a rhythm versus a lead, that sometimes it doesn't change until you actually stop it and play it again. Billie Jean, huh? And it also goes out of tune once in a while. That's another thing I've noticed.
I wonder if that's built into the patch or if that's just a side effect.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, either a bug or a side effect, because I've only seen it happen on certain ones, and resetting them or stopping it and restarting it fixes it. So it's not a total deal breaker of a bug, but it's something to be aware of when you're playing around with the different ones. Ooh, funky. Yeah, a lot of their overdrives. These are ones that I would tweak, and in some cases, like I was saying, it's not a big deal to actually add your own amp sim on top of it. Like with the strummer, what I did is I actually threw in. Was it the strummer? I thought it was this one. Here, I'll show you. I'm gonna insert the TH3, which is an amp sim. And we'll try 70s rock lead. And we'll go to the strummer track, turn that one back on. And basically now I'm running it through the strummer, but I'm processing post with the TH3. And I could turn it off, and now it's an acoustic again. Yeah, I like that one. It worked nice with the acoustic.
Very nice.
See, and that's a nice way to get those effects that might not necessarily be in the effects on the plugin, but you can always post-process it because it's pretty much a guitar signal.
Yep. Very cool.
And because
a lot of presets right at your fingertips.
Yeah, and because I'm using it this way, I mean, turning it on and off, changing to a different amp is a piece of cake. It's all non-destructive.
Yeah, exactly. And nice and snappy.
Yeah. And I did throw some of the basses in there. I threw the acoustic bass just to kind of take a listen to it. Oop, I gotta unmute it. And it's got great slap.
Nice.
Yeah, for acoustic bass, I mean, I can definitely use that. And this is the P bass. And there's some good presets in this one.
That last one I liked for the harmonics. It was showing on the thing on the right there too.
Oh, tell me that is not the Pink Floyd sound.
Oh yeah. The brick in the wall.
Oh, I'm curious how their money sounds. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can change the notes to be whatever you want, but like that is the like tone that if you're looking for that kind of tone, oh, that's the one I was looking
Well, and
for.
it shows you the the Lego bricks of how to make that tone or make that riff also. So you're getting the timing on it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and a bassist who wants to learn the part, it's like boom, right there. Oh, I can see using that one too. Now the one that I didn't manage to get yet, but really want to, the Rickenbacker. There's a couple of them that they've got. It's a harder one to find.
Those are
But
both good finds already, though.
Yeah, that's on my wish list.
Very cool. P bass.
But that's that's a way of getting guitar and bass through your keyboard or your computer without a lot of theory, without the technical side and what it takes to actually play the instrument, because not all of us are going to be like proficient like that. And these are great plugins for those who need this kind of sound or need this kind of accompaniment and don't have their guitarist or their bassist handy.
And they're great learning tools as well.
Yeah, and mixing these with like the Easy Drummer solutions, these work flawlessly with that. The tempos, everything's set in MIDI, so you take this, you throw Easy Drummer in there, pick like a rock beat or something that fits to what you're trying to make, and all of a sudden, you've got a chunk of the song done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Gotta love it.
I'm definitely glad that I went down this rabbit hole. It's been a long time coming, and I feel like now I have at least a working guitarist that I can start to like flesh out those chord progressions that I want to put together for some of these projects that I've got.
Yeah. I think when I first got the chord pack, one of the first things I did was do similar to what you have here, except on each track I had like just different progressions so that I could like, solo the first track and just hear how that progression sounds, or solo the 9th track and hear how that one sounds. And just had them all already laid out so that I could just bounce through them all.
Yeah, and what I like with the chord pack, those advanced progressions really get you thinking about. I mean, I have my go-to progressions that I've been doing forever. So, like, when I started playing with the chord pack, I was like, oh, wow, I never thought of going to that 7th or that 9th, but hey, it sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the ones where, once you get beyond just the basic chord theory that we usually go through, the plain vanilla, let's call it, chord theory that we go into, then you start getting into the things like, the flat 9, the sharp 11, all that kind of stuff. And once you start getting into that stuff, now you're getting into some exotic things.
Yeah, I actually ran into that while I was putting this together, because with the chorus, I didn't want to repeat the same chord. I wanted something a little different before it went back into the verse. So I had to figure out this 7th, 9th chord that I needed. So like I went through each one and listened to it. Nope, that's not it.
Yep. You hear the clashing. You hear the clashing chord tones in there. You're like, nope, not that one.
Yeah.
Nope, not that one.
Yeah, see, normally I wouldn't be playing with the sevenths and ninths as much if I was actually playing it, but making it so easy as to just drop it in there. Let's see what it sounds like. Try it again with the different, and I don't have to stretch my fingers all the way across to get that ninth.
Yeah. And that ninth hides sometimes. It's right there, but right by the root as the two.
Yeah, well, see,
it sounds clustered when you do that, though.
If I think of it that way, sure, it's easier. But yes, sometimes you get that clashy kind of.
That's why we usually put it an octave higher, so that's why you get it as a 9.
Yeah, and sometimes it just sounds better playing from like a guitar than it does from like a piano sound.
Yeah, and even there, on the piano, rather than playing it all clustered together, or even just as like this cluster and that cluster, the way a lot of people will with two hands on a piano, one's down here and one's up here. The more you spread it out, the better. So like sometimes even doing like a stride thing where you hit that one low note and hold the pedal so that you get that one low note, and then you do the rest of the chord up high, and you just kind of spread the whole thing across the whole keyboard, and that way you're kind of spreading it out more like a guitar, where you're getting high notes, low notes, and middle notes all together at the same time.
Yeah, nothing really sounds clashy when it's spread out.
Exactly. Lots of room for each note to breathe and do its thing.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like the example you set up. Very cool.
Yeah, well, this was a fun way of exploring the guitar side of these plugins. John definitely got me thinking. I do want to check out those the new vocal plugins that are coming out, because some of them are sounding like actual humans and giving backing vocals and new melody
as
ideas.
You said, being able to use or input a voice and have it start, mimicking a voice that you feed it is also a good option.
Yeah.
Like doing your own background vocals, or having it, use my voice to do background vocals, that kind of thing. Very cool.
Yeah, and I did look at voice AI modeling last year or earlier this year, the beginning of the year, and the engine I was looking at has now been drastically updated. So it might be a good thing to come back around and see what's happened in 9 months.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is the way things have accelerated. I mean, there's be a lot of changes just in 9 months, and if we look again, 9 days from now, it'll probably be even more.
Yeah,
it speeds up that fast.
Yeah, it would also be a good opportunity to look at Udio and what's going on there, because I've been seeing it in action with some of our friends in here, and there's a lot of good ideas that are coming out of these engines. Suno and Udio are definitely helping to put more ideas together.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily making the songs for the artist, but they are helping them to just kind of refine and take an idea into the direction they want it to go.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And anything that, makes the creative process move more smoothly is always beneficial.
Yeah. So possible AI night part 4, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I mean, AI is a popular topic, and
yeah, well, it's in our intros.
Exactly.
We have to check it out again.
Indeed. And we'll be checking it out more and more as time goes on.
Kev says Suno sucks. The funny thing is, I do like Udio. Overall, I like Udio and its results better. But ironically, when I was trying to put together the beat for our intro, Suno won, because it came closer to what I was looking for.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, is the goal of the project. Got to keep it in mind.
Yeah, there is no one ring to rule them all there. Not yet.
Nope.
All right, so we'll get some of that together for next week, and I am definitely ready to go nuts with Strum. Like, after watching him, I am like, I didn't get a chance to really play with some of those features, and seeing him do them, I'm going to be jamming this weekend like a guitarist.
Nice. There you go. That's the way to do it. Because guitarists have more fun, right?
Yeah. Well, guitars get more blondes, and blondes have more fun. So I think it's osmosis.
I think that's the transitive property. There you go.
So thank you all for joining us for virtual guitar night, and we'll see you next week. Tomorrow we've got some poetry, and actually I think it's straight up poetry tomorrow.
Nice. And in the meantime, it's been Talking Shh IT with Glenn and Tony. Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you next week.
Next time.
We cover digital, audio, workstations, and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and 82. How to write and compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talking IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rev. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn.